initially when I heard about 5D, I kind of had this kind of rapture-like idea of what was going to happen, that like we were going to split and some people were going to leave and some people were going to stay. Then I got really heavy into reading all of Dolores's books, and she kept asking for clarity on like, what is the 5D? What is this going to look like? What is this earth shift? How is it going to play out? And so some of the things that had come up in her work was, one, that it really couldn't be explained, which wasn't very helpful. Two, she's like, okay, well, what's going to happen to the people who are like, quote unquote, left behind? And they said, it's going to be fine. Like, and then she's like, okay, well, what about those other people? And they said, you're just going to drift away from them. And she's like, well, what do you mean you're going to drift away? Is people going to look for them? Are they going to go missing? Is somebody could have called the cops if somebody goes? And this was obviously, she wrote that book many years before, but that was what I had seen happen on the news. And that story just has like overlooked. So like it was very random. But this drifting away is what they talked about. And Dolores was like, well, what happens to those people? Are people going to look for them? Are they going to go missing? And they said, no, don't worry. It's not going to be like that. And she's like, but I don't understand how it's going to be. And then, and especially Dolores was one of the main people putting this forward at the time. So she needed those answers. She needed to tell people, like, because everybody's asking her and she's like, I'm trying to figure out. So what they said is that, like, think about, like, say, someone from your past. So, like, think about somebody from your past, like somebody you went to high school with who you used to be very close to, and now you guys have drifted in different directions. And, you don't really reach out to each other. You don't really like, you're not putting a search party out because you haven't spoke to them in years. You just kind of naturally grew apart, naturally distanced, and then just over time, more space was created between both of you, and you both just go on your lives separately. And they were saying that it's going to be a lot more like that than like this kind of aggressive timeline shift where basically, and so some of the other stuff that is talked about in Dolores's books, in the clarity that she was getting about it, was that people were going to be, and then like I couldn't understand, how could people live in two different realities in the same reality and be perceiving each other? So then I was like, what, are they going to not perceive each other? So then I kind of came to better to understand the timeline stuff, where we're always shifting timelines every single day. Every decision we make, we are making very minute, tiny timeline shifts. And every decision we make, with like, say, I was shuffling the cards in the beginning, but then we ended up talking about the timeline. So then I put this down and I didn't end up pulling the card yet. I'm going to pull the card later. So something like that is like two potential timelines, but they're so close and they're so similar to each other that it's not enough to be like a huge shift. However, it is two separate timelines. So then when I realized, like, we're constantly on multiple timelines. And then we have this the next thing, which is, okay, so what if somebody makes a drastic change? Like, they are going to live on their highest timeline. They are going to live on the Earth's highest timeline. They're going to be happy. They're going to be healthy. They're going to live in a prosperous future. They're not going to go in the apocalypse timeline. They're not going to go in this timeline. They're going to like this, quote unquote, new Earth or 5D timeline. And someone else is consciously choosing to want to stay miserable, want to stay in a dark place, want to stay portraying everything in victimhood, wanting to stay in the negative timeline. So when someone makes that choice, you might not be on the same timeline as that person over time. But what happens? It's not like that person disappears. So this is, I've talked about this in the Earth Shift series, that basically, and no, actually, I think it was the Mandela Effect series, one of them. So basically, what would happen is that that other person, my rice is done cooking. How did you know that that was my, how did you know that that was my Japanese rice cooker? I know, I'm still watching the dog Nintendo, and he eats brown rice. So I was cooking the brown rice for him. I also eat brown rice now, ever since the ayahuasca, but you're clairvoyant. I doubt they heard it on YouTube though, because I don't think the mic picks it up, but the phone definitely picks it up. The rice is coming to the 5D. We will have rice in the 5D. Um, so let's say someone in your life is choosing to live on a negative outlook of life and you want to live on the positive outlook of life. Now, that person over time, not just 1 day or 2 days, but let's say they truly start to live on that timeline where they want to stay in the victimhood, they want to stay in the darkness timeline, and then they will show up eventually. You might start to drift over time, which happens, right? Because you'll be like, I don't think I resonate with this person anymore, or maybe I don't like to hang out with them as much. And you start to shift a little further apart from them, but they're not going to disappear because it might be just like they start to show up in a different way. So, let's use the example, the way that it was portrayed in the Earthshift series, which was like, okay, so like the world is a game, right? Planet, our planet is a game, and your soul is here playing this game. So, your main character, like your soul is playing this main character, and you're the main character in your own story that you're perceiving. Now, you might start to go on one path of the game, and other people will go on a different path of the game, but that doesn't mean that they disappear from the game. It almost means almost like an NPC version of them continues in your part of the game. And so it's not that they are an NPC, but it's just that not the main player is what's there fully. It's another lighter aspect of their soul, and they might start to show up almost as a lesson for you versus the main player is also playing. So there might be a time where you and someone else are both the main players, but then their main player goes to another thing, which is their conscious choice, what they want to do, how they want to live. But then you're on another timeline. So they're not just going to poof disappear. They're going to show up in a different way, and they might start to be different towards you, or show you a different lesson, or teach you something different than what they might have before, because now they're showing up almost as an archetype in your reality over time. Someone said, so what is the essence of the game? So the essence of the game, as far as we can understand and know, to what I believe it to be, is, as we know, there is only one. There is just one consciousness. Consciousness is the entire universe. So there's one consciousness, but this consciousness is expanding through experience, through learning about itself so like, let's say I talk sometimes about that. I never saw the movie. I saw the trailer, but it's called Vantage Point, the movie. And like, there's one event that happens, but they show the event from like 10 different perspectives. So there's one event, but then you see it from here, from here, from here, from here, from here, from here, from here. And all the different perspectives have a different interpretation of what happened. They have a different view of what happened. They have a different experience about what happened. So this time on earth is one experience. Like, we're here right now experiencing, we just experienced this election. We're experiencing the coming years. There's wars on earth. There's things changing. There's new technology. Like, all of these things are events that are happening, but then there's 8 billion vantage points of it. And that's how it gets the full picture of an experience. So the consciousness is working through us. We're little fractals who became individual souls. So we have our own individual process of how we want to play the game. But it's all the different perspectives that we're looking at this one thing that is happening. So the game generates novelty through stable and chaotic periods. Well, it's also our free will. We have the option to kind of choose your own adventure in the game. And then we also have the option to choose your own perspective in the game. You know, we're here seeing this one event, like, say, for example, the election. We have some people who are looking at the election and they're like, hell yeah, America's going to be restored. Global balance is going to be restored. We have some people looking at this election from the perspective of, oh my God, they're going to put us in camps. I've seen some very crazy videos like that where people are kind of saying like they're going to, I don't know what they're preparing for. They act like they're preparing for concentration camps or something. Um, and that's another perspective of the game. Then there's people, like a lot of us that are probably here that are kind of like, oh, right. It's happening. It's something that happens. Every 4 years it does, and the game keeps going, So it's like those are just 3 perspectives, but there's thousands of perspectives on what happened. So that is kind of like creating the full 360 view of an event, which is why, there's kind of no objective truth. Because every single thing has many sides to what happened. But there are definitely moments that are more stable and moments that are more chaotic. But, choosing to look, choosing to look through higher perspectives this time around. Yes, Candace, you had a Russian eating dill experience. Mm. It's like we choose the world or level to go explore, yes. And I also believe that there's different kind of expansion packs within the game, right? Like living in the US is a certain expansion pack of the game, right? Living in the Middle East is a certain expansion pack of the game. Living in Russia is another expansion pack of the game. Living in China is another expansion pack of the game. Like if you were to like play The Sims and you have like these different things that you can do, like, you know? This is so wild that your ex-husband is like a peaceful, bland character in your life, but 20 years ago, he was your villain. Interesting. Maybe you guys have gone to a different timeline and now he's here, just kind of a part of himself, um, teaching you a lesson now, but also we still have karma with these people. So it's still like a part of them and it's still their soul. It's just their conscious awareness is choosing to view a different timeline at this time.